Make some noise! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in Los Angeles for the World Cup stage here in the Overwatch World Cup. I'm your host, Chris Bucket, alongside Malik Forte for the day, and we've had a lot of great matches. As you just saw, it's USA tying Canada's record at 2-0 in match count with a big win over Brazil. And we also saw some earlier action today. Let's take a look at what happened as we saw Switzerland going up against Austria. A great battle of the Alps went down. And a little bit later tonight, we're going to see Norway versus Canada, USA versus Switzerland, and Brazil versus Austria. Speaking of that third match, we already got the players on the stage. Let's hear it. How many people want to see the upset coming from Norway tonight? I see some Norwegian flags. I like that a lot. But I heard a lot of people cheer when this man walked out on the stage. XQC doesn't have his headphones on. Let's hear it for Team Canada in the 2017 MVP. It's going to be a great battle, and as you guys have seen, we've been sharing your messages all day long. So keep the hashtags coming, OWWC 2018. Let us know, how do you see this one playing out? Is it Canada staying perfect at 12-0? Or is Norway going to be able to pull off some upsets? Keep your fan pulse comments coming all day, powered by T-Mobile. You guys ready to get this match started? It's time to kick off our third match of the day as we send it to our casters. It's Uber and Mr. X.
What's up, Chris? Hello, Blizzard Arena. Good to be back for day two, and this is a match I've been personally quite excited for. A lot of people are saying, Norway looking like that dark horse team. We've already seen Brazil, show that the US can bleed. What can Norway do now up against Canada?
Well, I think this could be another close match. Canada-Brazil had some close ones. No going crazy on the end. I believe it was King's Row to really save it on Zarya. The other day was really huge. I think Canada, though, they kind of see what's in front of them with Team USA losing that one map. If they can stay perfect till that match tomorrow, they're in a good spot to take this group stage.
All right, let's have a look at the Norway roster here as well. And reacquaint yourself with this team, of course, from the north. And again, a couple of faces that I was really impressed by yesterday. Matt, the track was very, very good in Norway's matches. Obviously, a lot of these players with, the contenders' experience as well. We know Decod, he was representing this team last year around. IPN, of course, has been around for quite some time as well. Yeah,
and I was impressed with a lot of the DPS stuff we saw from Onigod yesterday. Decod in the main tank role. I think these are two players you look as, obviously, Overwatch League expands. Potentially, they are players that we could see next year.
And of course, here is your Canadian roster, one you'd be pretty familiar with by now. I had a chat to some of the guys outside as well, and obviously Mangachu is there with them. And, maybe a substitution down the line. Sure, excellent performance yesterday. XQC playing a difficult role. We talked about how hard it is for tanks at the moment. He even tweeted out sort of some encouragement to fellow tank mains grinding away. The landscape is quite tricky. You cannot play the same way you used to. We heard the same from Mumi yesterday. But Ilios is where we're going to be heading first, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we kick off here in this series.
It's just hard in the main tank role to figure out positioning and where you should take advantage of it. And then just trying to monitor, okay, they have a Brigitte, Doomfist, how am I going to dodge both stuns, then get to the back line?
There is no dodge.
And then there is no dodge. But then it's when did those come off of cooldown? Because then I need to get out. I can't stay in there for too long. And then, potentially you're playing Reinhardt where you can't really dodge it. So it's really difficult in terms of the main tank role right now.
Right. Give Winston the Demon Hunter ability blur. And I think I'm happy with that, right? Let him just take some of that damage out. You know what I mean? Not quite fast enough, perhaps, to do that, but it is going to be Lighthouse where we begin things here now. We've been definitely measuring the strength of a lot of these teams in their, their willingness to pick up, the Sombra, the Doomfist, as you pointed out, Matt. We've even seen a little bit of Hammond sprinkled in the mix there. The teams that have tried to run GOAT compositions into this, we saw it even yesterday with the Contenders Finals between XL2 and Fusion University. If you fail to adapt, you will fall.
Well, I think, when we did the pre-shows, we were talking about how strong Canada's front tank line would be with XQC and Note, which they are very strong. I think their strongest thing this weekend, though, has probably been Sherp or Sombra play. I think really strong on Sombra.
He got to do whatever he wanted yesterday.
I mean, a lot of the matches yesterday, 1-2 death, where he's just able to control a game in this role, not putting up a ton of final blows, not even a ton of damage, but just the disruption and just, he's able to make these calls for the team that helps, XQC and Note with a lot of decisions they can do. They catch Onigod alone there, they get a hack. As soon as that comes through, it's XQC and Sherpwar takes out the Tracer.
And now following that, obviously, your main scalpel to try and dig out the Scrissi targets on the side of Norway sort of missing here. XQC does fall. As I said, tough world out there for tanks. It is the School of Hard Knocks, but he's brought back to life and agility. He's got a lot of space to work with as Canada moves to the point. nice.
But even if he doesn't come back to life with a res there, you take that trade. You got a Diva, D-Mech, and you got the Tracer early on. That's two big sources of damage or follow-up for the Pharah. Without Tracer or Diva, not a lot of players that can get in and follow up the damage that Pharah's putting down.
IPN pretty brave, obviously bringing the Zenyatta into this particular matchup. Shortfall will be looking to harass, but he's taken down by Track early on in the fight. That's IPN down now, the 1-for-1 trade, but this is looking much better for Norway. Track lands himself a nice double barrage and a finish off on Crimson. And Norway move in and take residence on the point. Agilities is just going to be able to escape.
Yeah, they didn't give up too much percentage over towards Canada. Usually you get pretty decent amount of percentage if you catch that point first, so they're able to flip it back in their favor rather quickly. You will see they're going to have Sound Barrier plus Valkyrie here. With so little Mercy play, it'll be interesting how they decide to use this Valkyrie, whether it's aggressive or defensively.
There's a D-Mech there. Tricky wasn't intending to trade as much damage as he did, and he actually gets taken down after the fact. A huge piece of the puzzle now missing for Norway, and Decod struts over to the point just to try and maintain control here with their primal rage. But Canada goes for the Sound Barrier here, and Decod's hacked. He can't even jump back onto the point until that's expired. And over the top, Shawfall's just getting that damage in. EMP available for Canada now. It's going to be the Transcendence used preemptively. And IPN won't have that stripped away from him, but Shawfall bides his time, and there it is. Hack on at least 4 players of the Norwegian squad. And they'll be forced away. The barrage from Agilities this time. And he finds himself both Track and Ico.
I will say this though, Mitch, they did force Canada to use all of their ultimates during that fight. So you did get them to use everything they had. They had all 6 ultimates during that fight. They ended up using every single one of them. Thought we were going to see some changes from Norway, but it looked like Onigod went over to Widowmaker. Probably try and get a spawn shot onto Agilities in the sky, maybe get that early pick and then push on through, but goes right back over to Tracer.
IPN again, there's Zenyatta, not overly mobile. Quite susceptible to a lot of the tools that Canada are bringing just to try and make life hard for less mobile or more vulnerable targets in general. Decod spent some time around the lighthouse, and Shawfall's taken down early. So credit to Norway, they've done a great job. And what teams failed to do yesterday, Matt, was to deal with that Sombra early in the fight and not give Shawfall carte blanche. Ico actually takes down Crimzo mid-air there with the Caduceus Blaster, and now Agilities is lacking his mercy. Track turns his attention to more pressing issues, and that is Norway recapturing the point. Should be 71% to 50.
You'll have Surefour get on, get tested for a little bit, now backs up. So they do get an extra 3% out of that. Do you have the Sound Barrier available here for Canada? So you think with the effects of the Sound Barrier, you're going to end up getting a Primal Rage off this as well. As Bonnie actually takes out Onigod, as he was actually trying to make it over to a mini health pack and not able to make it there in time.
Onigod had a pulse bomb, but won't have a chance to use it on this particular spot. Agility's trying to definitely dodge the rockets, but he can't get away. No response though, gets airborne. Headshot onto what's Track and Decod. There it is, Primal Rage. It's a tough life for Banny, but he manages to wall ride to safety. Decod's going to wait out the hack and then return to the point, but much of that Primal Rage duration was lost for him. Now he returns to his normal form. No, maybe intended for that one to go out the window, but he drops it right on the corner. Self-destruct doesn't find any kills for Canada thus far. But Agilities now has freedom. IPN is beleaguered, beset on all sides. And there's Zenyatta out of the picture for Norway. Looks like it's a matter of time for Canada now to get very close to that 99%, and they're staggering this fight out, Matt. That's the crucial point.
Yeah, Track gets actually hacked in the air, so not able to use any of his abilities to get back. It's going to be a AKO hack. So he's not able to get back towards the point as well using Valkyrie. This is definitely looking like it's going over towards Canada.
Only got Tracer, thus far unsuccessful. Shunted off the point. Does get a D-Mech at least on towards Note, but that's a punch in the back of the head on Agilities. Sends him packing. IPN is able to deal with XQC, that Discord, or finding some value, but he's sitting on the point now, and he lacks his mercy support. Shawfall gets in there. XQC brought back to life for good measure, but that will do the job for Canada. Round 1.
Yeah, and IPN actually gets hacked while he has that Transcendence up. Not able to get enough healing from Ico to stay alive there long enough.
I mean, maybe at that point it prolongs the fight, but missing so much of Norway's damage sources, it would have been a struggle. Notable stuff in this particular round, Matt. Agilities was 6 final blows, 31% of his team's damage on Pharah, which Track was quite close as well on his own Pharah. He had 9 final blows, 28%. So both Pharah's big headliners.
So you see the knockoff there on the Decod playing Wrecking Ball.
Must have had his grappling hook off.
I'm interested of why they stayed on the Zenyatta for so long. I think Zenyatta, he can obviously stay out of harm's way from a decent amount of the EMPs. He can play far away from the team. But then the issue is he's an easy target to just go on your own as Surefour, get a hack off and just take him out.
In all fairness, they've almost justified that particular pick by showing an ability to control Shore4, you know, or at least not let him run around and do what he wants at the start of the fight. So we actually see him getting picked off by the Pharah of Track there. So, you know, the splash damage of Pharah into those choke points can reveal the Sombra if the timing is right. Now Norway coming with a McCree. That single DPS, we only got Brigitte now for Track.
Well, that tells you they really want to punish Shore4 when he comes on these flanks, right? You have the flashbang of Onigod, Track with the stun on the Brigitte. Just whether they're able to do it or not.
Shore4's not flanking. Nice work by Decog. Throws down the barrier. It wasn't exactly under, you know, threat of a lot of damage, but he does cancel the hack. Able to get away and still have to use all his faculties. He does eventually fall to agility, so when Canada are starting to take control of this open space, they're forcing Norway to stay inside. Not great for McCree, who really wants to be out and have those clear sight lines. They're forced out of position. Shore4, though, maybe extends a little bit too deeply, falls to Track.
Yeah, when they can force McCree into these close quarter areas, that's where you're going to see a lot of damage come down with the Pharah. And it's going to be difficult for Onigod to be able to track Shore4 as well, right? You know, there's just two different sight lines you have to cover. You have to look up in the sky, and then you have to look behind you. That'll be a solo rocket barrage there on the Decod, but definitely worth as that Tricky comes through, gets demeched as well.
Decod shakes his head. Understandable. Have a nice day. I guess I picked the wrong kind of fight. Agility's more than happy to use that ultimate to find a pick. It is a big body, that Winston, so it's an ultimate well used. And now Canada have a little bit of breathing room, Matt. Crucially as well, Transcendence available for Crimzo on that Zenyatta in this fight. And reasonable now, you look at the composition of Norway, is Zen, you're probably not feeling overly threatened by it.
I was actually just going to say that. As you know, we talked about, you know, IPN, definitely a lot of threat to him with the composition that Canada's put together. Crimzo can sit back and just be a turret. Nobody that can really put a lot of pressure on him, because you have Decod and Tricky who always have to constantly deal with the Sombra in the backline.
Only God, they're just trying to reactively use a Deadeye in case it was dropped on top of, but Canada thought twice about that one. Shore4 was revealed for a moment, but it's a big EMP. Tricky and Only God crucially both getting hacked up, so that Diva, the impact for Norway will be minimal. And you're going to be feeling pretty good as Crimzo in general, Matt. It's like, well, my team has a Sombra, their team doesn't, and they can't dive me. I get fairly safe Transcendences, and that's something to watch in this next fight. Norway need IPN to be able to get their Transcendence off, and it might require him to use it early in like a suboptimal scenario just to get the healing for some of the duration.
Well, you do have Rally as well from Track, so you'll have the armor of the Brigitte, the healing from the Zen, and Decod with Primal Rage should be able to stay alive for a very long time. A lot of large HP targets going to come online here for Norway.
Barrage there, coming under from Agility's in the back corner of a Tricky Phantom with a double self-destruct, and there it is, the Deadeye claims 2 more. 2 ultimates, 4 kills. Norway happy with that one. They did lose Only got a decop, but they still had the numbers to control a point. And at the death, they bring it back.
So they do use the rally towards the end, so everybody but Onigod will get armor. So he's coming out of the spawn. Decod, obviously, as Winston does have armor just in general. As Shore4 gets on the point, they do get a hack here. As Tricky will be forced to back up. We can see how exactly the self-destruct happened.
Agility's trying to solo Winston, this time punished for it. Nothing to do there. So back to the point, Canada like to retake as soon as possible. Notice Shore4's EMP getting ever closer to being available. IPN's Transcendence still sitting in his back pocket. Some of that residual rally armor remaining for Norway. But IPN is about to have that stripped away from him himself. Zenyatta, very important. Knocked away. Canada have control of the open area. That's the tricky part. After the EMP, nicely played. The IPN comes in with a Transcendence. Of course, line of sight does render you, immune to getting hit by that EMP if you're inside. Crimzo now comes out with a response EMP, and it's a second support ultimate drawn out of Norway. Sound barrier now, Only God, it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. He was deep in enemy territory, and it's dangerous when Agility is patrolling the skies. Only God and IPN, probably the 2 most important heroes right now for Norway, are down. It's looking grim, man.
Yes, Decod switches over to Wrecking Ball, gets some of that reactive armor on the point, but almost gets hacked up here by Shore4. Not going to be able to make it back in time. That'll be a map 1 win here for Canada. Now, Norway did play them toughish. I know they were able to make some things happen. I think just having that Zenyatta, on the team comp there, against the Winston Diva, and you also have Sombra and the Agility spamming down rockets. Now, IPN towards the end there, he was waiting for that EMP to come out to then use the Transcendence, but they had already taken so much damage before that. Even himself, he got down to like 60 HP a few times, just holding on to that Transcendence, waiting for that EMP.
Yeah, there are ways, of course, to avoid getting EMP, Matt, as you sort of mentioned. And in the final moments there on Well, IPN sort of staying inside the building. The problem was, I think, for Norway is that they had to do this quite a lot. They clumped up together against Pharah and Sombra, obviously, which leaves you very susceptible to Not only, of course, the splash damage from Fire, but getting a big EMP. So the Transcendence was later from IPN. He avoided getting EMP, but Crimzo came in with his own Trance. Norway had at least 2 support ultimates in that fight, but after the fact, that loss only got so fast. I mean, yes, you get a lot of that shield from Lucio when he uses Sound Barrier, but if you're standing in the middle of the enemy team as McCree, trying to dead-eye them at point-blank range, it's not going to go well.
No, some things I think Norway did good during that first map. I think they did a nice job of punishing XQC a few times when he would go in. The issue is Canada would already probably have a pick at that time, then the damage that he would just put down onto the overall team of Norway. By the time you got him dead, a few extra ticks of damage, and then your Diva was getting demacked, and then you had to back up a few times, and then it just allows, Bonnier Crimzo, who was playing the Mercy for Canada in that situation, just get a res off, and then you're right back at full strength. So, they were able to take him down, I believe, 6 times during that first map, but still not enough.
This is going to be fun. Heading over to Blizzard World for our second map, our hybrid map, of course. Matt, what do you want to see from Norway in terms of, just maybe bringing back this series? Compositionally, do you want to see them maybe try and adopt some of the similar approaches we're seeing from Canada?
Outside of Team USA and Canada, we haven't seen a ton of Sombra or Doomfist play. I know both Team USA and Canada have both shown that. When the triple tank, triple support compositions come out, you see some Doomfists. I'd like to see some of these other teams here start to work those heroes in. Seems like we're still seeing a lot of Tracer Genji, which is still pretty good. You can still run dive in this meta, especially Lucio with the speed boost, right? And, get in there. We do see Norway play a decent amount of Widowmaker with Oni God, but I think I'd really love to see, some Sombra Doomfist, Sombra Genji, some kind of Sombra play. I feel like she's way too good right now to just kind of be put to the side as like, oh, we don't really need her. I think you definitely need Sombra in a lot of these combos.
And I feel like on a control map like Ilios, which we just saw, it may be a little bit harder for Sombra to range as far and wide as she often can. On a map like this, like you can just sit back behind an attacking team and force them to answer you.
I mean, a map like this on offense, let's say one of your tanks, whether it be like a Winston Diva or even if you want to run Wrecking Ball here, loses all movement ability. They just get leapt on in the chokes and they're just dead. There's nothing you can do about it. So, also surprised not to see as much. Well, we did see it towards the end on Ilios, but some Brigitte coming out from Norway. Maybe we see her a little bit more. So looks like
to McCree to try and, I assume, answer the Sombra. They're playing around it to a great degree. It's clear to see.
Let's see what they decide to do here in Norway on offense. As Decod just checking the spawn here, probably for Sombra.
Yeah, it's a great way of trying to spy check that. Obviously back to the Winston now. So Track will be on the Sombra himself here. Again, he can do a lot of scouting, which is obviously very crucial. Norway won't venture too far from spawn until they know what Canada are
What's your
playing.
feelings on Moira, by the way? We were talking a little bit this morning about it on the way in, but in this type of composition, what are your feelings on having the Moira here?
For Norway?
Yeah.
It's a bit tricky, man. You're trying to take high ground. The problem is that, like, she can't join your divers, right? It's very, very difficult for Moira to follow up Winston and Diva when they do range fire. Yes, you can send them a biotic orb, but you need to be quite close to make use of that high-capacity healing, man. And, if you're sat on the ground, you're quite susceptible to, Sombra even to a degree. If you get your Fade forced out early, you have a bad time.
Yeah, for a lot of these divers, I think Lucio and Moira, just not enough healing for like your tracers and whatnot. As you do see a kill come through, that Tricky does kill Crimzo, but you already have 3 in favor of Canada. I just don't think like IPN right now is stuck on the point, right? Can't really go all the way back there as Moira. I mean, you could use your Fade to get there, but then you don't have your main cooldown to get out once you get dove upon. So
one shot.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could probably play like Ana in this type of situation, right? Play from afar. When the defense turns to go and get your flankers, you land like a big biotic grenade or whatnot. But I think Moira is in a weird spot right now.
Nope. Drops back onto the point. Only got, again, a very early casualty here. He's definitely persistent in trying to make this Tracer pick work. Unfortunately, falling at the start of the fight like this heralds an immediate disengagement from Norway. Still a ways off that EMP for Track. He's not been overly successful in getting in the back, and that's also a matter of Norway creating enough threat in the front line to keep him safe.
And here's a really good switch from Canada as well. They're going to change all their support. So Bonnie now playing Ana, Crimzo playing Zen and Agilities, playing Brigitte. This takes away everything of value you would get from the Lucio or the Moira. Tons of AoE healing. They have to be close to everybody. Hit everybody with a big anti-grenade. They can't do anything.
So Track, at the start of the fight, he's forced to use his translocator, right? So returning to the fray for him now is going to take some time. Tricky gets desuited here, and Decod already fell early on, so all the initiation capacity for Norway has been removed from this situation. They really can't do much now except sit on the low ground, and Track there just gets a face full of monkey fist, and it's all over for him.
Yeah, they use their coalescence during that fight. Maybe you see them switch off with the Moira now as
How do you have oh my god, this is so hard to watch.
Ramping up the sensitivity, getting into the back lane. They're still going to stay on this Moira here, so see how they decide to use it.
Crucially, that would be the...
They're going to try and hide Crimzo here as well, so he doesn't get hit by this.
Drake has to go in from the low red here, man, as well. He does, oh, hello. He does not want to get picked down here. You see those shots that have been taken by the Ana could easily hit him. They get that self-destruct, at least on agilities to start.
Yeah, Crimzo, though, hiding, will use the Transcendence, come back, able to heal everybody up. Decod will use Primal Rage, but see, he gets hacked up right away. Now the Sleep Dart comes through from Bunny.
I mean, that looked like Crimzo was in deep trouble there, but nice save from Bunny. See, that sound barrier is going to decay eventually. Decod's just going coast to coast in this particular fight to try and keep his team safe. D-suit on towards no, but agilities returns to the fight. The Doomfist is here as well. He gets the uppercut on IPN and sends him packing. Aiko is thinking, I'd like to not be here right now.
And it's interesting, they actually use the nano boost there on the Surf and it keeps him alive long enough and gives him the damage reduction to be able to get the EMP and use it there. And then he uses it, hits 4, and then you have agilities just come flying over the top there as Doomfist. So some changes coming in here for Norway. You're going to have triple tank, triple support here, but it may be a little bit too late. No real chance of building up a Zarya grab this late in the game.
Goes it out, Matt. Bionic Grenade not really getting much there, so there is an opening here for Norway to come forward. See, Bunny is going to have to wait for his cooldown on that particular ability. Punch on towards Tricky, although I don't know what Agilities was looking for. Someone behind the Diva. It looks like he didn't really want to use his cooldowns on that Diva. Regardless, he's going to have to now. He gets lasered down by Onigod. The Transcendence was a little bit too late to the fight, but Crimzo's still giving the healing to the rest of his team. Self-destruct in the backline. Crimzo thought he was going to get away from that one, but he was just too far around the corner, and he's taken down by Tricky. And now No trying to take to the skies to get a bit of space, but Canada completely split. It's the divide and conquer strategy for Norway, and it's worked out. They'll get the first point.
Yeah, Crimzo actually tries to go back using the Transcendence feed to get around this corner. We're seeing Tricky in front of him right now. He just doesn't make it. He ends up dropping to that self-destruct. So
I thought he was, I couldn't tell if he was peeking or if he thought he was safe.
I think he thought he had a line of sighted around the corner. Maybe like just kind of like, sometimes you can like partially like, get around the corner and
just
still block the damage, but doesn't do that as Sherp4 has built up an EMP here. So you have EMP with a nano, potentially a nano on XQC, then a Primal Rage after to just keep him alive as long as possible. Put down maximum damage through this EMP. Here's going to be the rally coming out from Norway. Track popping that Brigade ult.
Making his way in now as well. Now it's a little bit hard. He doesn't want to use EMP in the doorway because it won't affect everyone on either side of it. Fight has begun though regardless. Decod's still looking quite healthy. There's that Earth Shatter he can bring to bear if required. Most of Canada are sort of disengaged or a little bit split right now. XQC right in the middle of enemy lines, takes to the high ground to try and back up here, but I don't think Norway are going to give Canada the room to get away. There's a big hack. Track actually got bionated there as well, so he couldn't do very much at all. Earth Shatter there from Decod finds himself 2 targets. Agility charges in though. Nice response, keeps XQC alive, and now the Doomfist can start to wreak havoc.
So many ultimates used here by Norway. They need to, they're not going to be able to make it back. I thought potentially you try and fight that again, use like a Coalescence and then the Sound Barrier and come back with the main tank down, but they used their Graviton Surge during that fight, Mitch. Got nothing with it.
Agility's timing was very good. Decod obviously got, a moderate, the 2-man shatter. Both tanks were sort of laid out on Canada for the time being, but Agility's disrupting that fight later on was made it very, very hard for Norway. You notice he holds onto the rocket punch to wait for the barrier to expire, but it doesn't quite work out. He and Decod both knocked to the ground and they trade their lives out. Self-destruct in, but Track kept his shield up on high. Unfortunately, it's not going to save him now as he's being swarmed on. And Banny's got a lot of room here. Nano boost available. Fire Nade dropped in. IPN now no healing from him. Even self-healing from his right click's not possible. XQC has to accept that. They use a self-destruct and a Graviton, and they only got a Winston on the side of Norway. Definitely not the value they're looking for.
No, I mean, that's the second Graviton Surge. We've seen throw down from Onigod. Only 1 kill to show for it. It was just on XQC when the fight was pretty much over. May get a rally here for Norway, but that's about it. You're looking at a nano boost EMP combination here with the Primal Rage yet again for Canada.
Well, they need the shields from rally, probably the morale as well. If I'm honest, Shawful drops in big EMP and Track is just completely smashed up against the rock face. 4 deaths already for Norway. They're going to try and tentatively push the car, but it really is just Tricky left. He will be desuited, moved away. Overtime will be done, and Canada put up a staunch defense on Blizzard World.
And it's actually a really hard part of the map, I think, at least in my opinion, to run that triple tank, triple support, because Bonnie just sat up on the bridge and was just healing everybody from afar.
Can't
and
access Anna, right?
Is zero access. And then when you try and access it, you have to go all the way up together around that left-hand side if you're playing from the offense and go up that alleyway. And it's easy for Sure4 to hit like a 6-man EMP.
It's still
there,
a choke, right? If you try and play that high ground,
It's-
in essence. And they tried to do that at the end of the round. Just saw that EMP and Track just getting completely bopped.
Just think about how much damage comes down right away when Sure4 EMPs. The EMP comes down, then the biotic grenade, so you can't get any healing in that short area, and then you have the Winston and Doomfist just flying at you. You can't survive, and then you can never get any pressure onto Bonnie on the high ground playing that Ana.
One thing that always impresses me about Note is his ability to be such a presence in these team fights and yet just stay alive so much. Obviously D.Va, you do get demeched, it doesn't count as a death, so you do have a chance to get that one back. But Note has at least deaths on Canada, but one death. Well, actually, no, Sure4 has none, to be honest. Okay, reasonable. But Note obviously on that D.Va managing to stay out of harm's way, at least by the looks of things, while still being right in the thick of things.
It's really fun to watch like Note and Space, the off tank for Team USA play. I feel like both really similar in the fact that like Space I feel like makes like these like crazy plays, right? Where you watch it and you're like, oh my god, like he's incredible. Like you can clearly tell it. Note is just so consistent and he's just always like rock solid. Like that sometimes you kind of forget like how good he is or may not even realize like how good he is.
Because he doesn't even tell you.
He's always in perfect position. Like he's always in a good spot. Such a really talented player as well.
I think like obviously now that as we know, Sure4 has 0 deaths. That indicates to me that Norway weren't able to control him nearly as much as they did on Ilios, for example. Definitely not falling early in these fights. Sure4 has had a lot of room, and he's got 25% of his team's damage on Sombra, which is huge.
To be fair to Norway, nobody has really contained him on Sombra throughout the weekend thus far. Every game we've casted of Canada, I've been looking at the stats. Sure4's got like 1 death, 2 death for a lot of these
I
matches.
just watch his ult percent do. Just tick up.
Much better.
We'll keep an eye on this man now. We'll see how he approaches these fights. Obviously, Track had a similar role in the attack before.
Well, let's see how Track plays this, because Canada's going to play the Zenyatta here at the beginning, but it's going to be Zen and Ana. So we'll see if... Oh, there, they'll spot him out as Sure4 just runs right into him.
Hello, quite the rendezvous there between two Sombras. Track decides to pull the plug on that one. And that could be a bit of a problem here. No translocator available for it. Tricky deseated already, and the dive is on Canada. Wasting no time and getting onto that high ground. Tricky, just a mini D.Va left for him right now, and Aiko, he wants that health pack. But the boop on agilities will prevent him from even being able to get that one. He will be picked up in time. Now it's up to Only God and Track. Very mobile, very sprightly, these two heroes, but not durable. Gonna be tough for them to face the music, and in fact, I think they're even gonna try and pull out. They don't get there in time! No! Now they get staggered for the next stage. Scant seconds between Norway actually managing to contest. But no, it doesn't work, and now they just feed themselves to the beast.
And the first kill of that fight is huge. IPN falls at the hands of agilities. And I think that's we see that you can run Sombra with whether it's like Doomfist, right, on a lot of maps, Sombra Tracer, and then Sombra Genji, and I think that's why you see...
Yes! That's not like you!
Yeah.
That's very uncharacteristic.
I think that's why you see the Sombra Genji combination on First Point in Blizzard World here from Canada, is because Agilities lands like some of those headshots on IPN and then just dashes straight through. No chance to even heal himself or react. Genji can get to the high ground so fast. There's going to be a nano blade that comes through for Canada trying to put this one away.
Now, IPN just got cut through. One fell swoop and he was done. Self-destruct here for Tricky. Might actually get killed before he can remech here at this stage. XQC was trying to boop him around a little bit. But that self-destruct doesn't yield too much. In all fairness, the agilities blade didn't either, but it doesn't really take that much at this point. Aiko trying to get back to the payload. He gets there just in time. Tricky drops on top. Track's also going to have to join in. Cowabunga, they drop in on the top. Unfortunately for Norway, it's just drips and drabs, and it's not enough. Canada, clearly not to be denied.
Saw a different play of Sombra from Sure4 there on offense. When they were running the Sombra Tracer, instead of going in and trying to be the initiator, he was playing pretty far back, trying to help the supports. You saw the battle there at the end against Onigod. It's very difficult. Tracer Sombra 1v1. If the Sombra's behind you, you think you're going to go in for an easy kill in the support. You get hacked, they throw a Discord on you, and the Sombra kills you right away. Makes you think a little bit more about trying to dive into that, and then you have Agilities playing the Genji with XQC being aggressive in the front. It's not much Norway can do there.
Bear in mind, Sombra's sort of bullet spread from her primary fire is been reduced quite significantly over time. So
it's tighter, she can do more damage.
You can essentially outrange a Tracer, and the Tracer is hacked, then it's not looking good for them. You saw a couple moments there, Norway had lost their front line so early in the fight where, Onigod and Track were trying to retake the point as Sombra and Tracer. It's a tough life out there for Norway, but they've still got 2 more maps to prove themselves. Let's head down to the stage and hear from our man Sure4.
Thank you so much, fellas. That's right. Give it up for Shore4 and Team Canada. Now 10 straight games in a row. You are one map away from making it 3 series and, of course, retaining that #1 spot in the group. First off, how's it feel to play Sombra? Because throughout the Overwatch League, we saw you popping off on Widow. We always saw you, clutching up the headshots. You were the 1v1 champion of Widow back at the All-Star game. We haven't seen a whole lot of Widow. We're seeing a whole lot of Sombra. What's it like playing this hero instead?
Well, I like Sombra because you get to be really annoying and people can't focus you that much.
You like being annoying? You're a troll a little bit sometimes?
I mean, why do you think I like playing Widow? You know, when you're shooting people from like halfway across the map, they get angry that they can't do anything about it. But the main reason I like playing Sombra is because for a long time, DPS players haven't been able to do anything against, tanks because they jump on you and there's 4 seconds matrix. And now tanks get to feel how we felt because I don't let them do something for like 6 seconds. It's great.
Who's your favorite tank to hack?
Diva, of course.
And how many EMPs? I know you've been keeping track. You're a very humble guy, but deep in the back of your mind, I know you've been keeping track. How many 6-man EMPs have you hit so far in this World Cup?
Probably like 20.
Pretty solid number. Shore4, are you guys closing this one out with another perfect 4-0?
Probably.
You guys here in the Blizzard Arena believe that? Make some noise. Is Shore4 and Team Canada one map away from making it a perfect 3-0. We'll see if they can do it after the break.
Nice to have you back, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Blizzard Arena. And of course, our 2017 Overwatch World Cup silver medalist Canada are still looking like they're going from strength to strength. This year, a new revamped roster, but still showing that same brand of dominance.
Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument this roster is even stronger than last year's, right? Last year, they had to play Mangachu in a lot of
almost lost to Australia
roles.
last year, so
yeah. And now you have a great player like Note. Now Bonnie's on this team, Crimzo as well, looking really strong here.
Not only are we seeing, obviously, talent that exists in the Overwatch League continue to just lead the way, but also some great talent that's, being unearthed from our, tier 2 scenes and such, which is just great. We're seeing that across all of these teams. So one thing we were talking about in the break, Matt, something I'm super interested in right now is like how Sombra affects the game, right? How important she is. Shore4 did mention it, obviously, during the break.
Yeah.
And Canada, well, they like to get a bit of Sombra action here. Look at the usage difference between Canada and the rest of the field.
Well, it's to be expected, right? Sombra has been very strong, connecting with 3.8 players per EMP.
That's been Shore4, yeah?
Yeah, that is for sure of Team Canada. And you'd expect it to be that high with how much triple tank, triple support compositions. When you play that, you have to be grooved up. When you get players grooved up, you land big EMPs, right? So, but Canada, I think, is capitalizing on them more than a lot of these other teams.
I think it's so interesting how a game evolves in that particular sense. But Mangachu is back after a tough one yesterday. The Overwatch Contenders NA Finals, but now he's obviously free to focus his attention on bringing his country glory. And we had a lot of fun watching him yesterday. We saw him play a bit of Doomfist, a bit of the Hammond action.
Really nice way of talking about the NA Contenders Finals. It was
yes.
probably a game Mangachu
Would like to forget?
Yeah, probably he's already forgotten it was so fast.
But what's so interesting is that obviously, for those who didn't watch it yesterday, XL2 sort of played the Ghost comp into a counter comp, right? That sort of Sombra Doomfist approach we're seeing now to break apart those heavy tank comps. It's interesting. Mangachu comes back to his team, like, okay, guys, now we can go back to playing the, the counter composition.
We play Team USA. Zachary Sombra is pretty good.
Horizon, Luna Colony. Colony?
Oh, okay.
Looney Colony? Horizon Luna Colony will be our next map in the series. All right, I think...
this is what we wanted to see.
Most of the time.
All right, never mind. They're changing. XQC McCree. We've seen it on stream a few times. His crosshairs like the size of his whole screen.
Yes. Oh, his Mercy crosshair is amazing. Always gives me a chuckle.
Let's see what Canada decides to roll out with here at the start. Mangachu, obviously, very good Junkrat player. Also, and when you think of Torbjorn at the highest level of play, Mangachu is probably the first name that comes to mind. So you could play the Torb here if you wanted to.
I mean, this is the man who has the bragging rights of killing Zunda with his hammer in Molten Core, obviously at a prior World Cup, and something I'm sure he's quite proud of. It's just one of those things that just doesn't happen very often, and the idea is, of course, is it to bring shame? I'm not really sure. No, I think it's just a style on someone. Look, they still lost that match. So.
If you guys played a ton of comp at home, and when you have a team that may not be as coordinated, and you're going up against something like the Orisa Torb on the high ground with a really good Widowmere, like, it's difficult for teams that can't really get that dive down to win. So it seems some people would call it like BM. Some people would just say we're trying to just get this done as fast and easy as possible, right? Where they're going to switch off the Torb here, though. They'll be playing Junkrat.
This will be interesting, right? If we see this sort of Sombra with double DPS setup. It's actually been a couple moons since we saw this approach on Horizon. You bring in that Sombra as well, but Onigod just got a face full of 50 cal there. Surefour sends him packing it. Yeah.
Not a ton of healing for Norway, though. I mean, we're going to run the solo healing Lucio.
How are you healing your divers? You can't really dive, right?
It's really about getting in and just getting as many picks as possible and then using that spawn advantage to get back to the point and just keep it going.
I mean, I'm very interested in how Ico operates this as Lucio, where he puts himself, to give that healing to his track. Oh no! The poison mine claimed him. And now Surefour has so much more room. There's no Genji in the picture, but this is the Dire that we're looking for from Norway. They were lacking healing at the outset, but they're trying to get in and get the damage done. Unfortunately, the fight went a little bit longer than they would have liked.
You can't have so little healing going against the Junkrat on the high ground, especially when you have Mercy and Zen. The Discord Orb even, putting down more damage on opponents.
I see.
Do you have IPN here behind enemy lines?
So, what do you think about this Orisa D.Va setup? Normally we usually see a Roadhog paired with the Orisa.
I think the D.Va is good to go and contest the point. Like if the Sombra, the Genji, the Tracer go down there, I think that's why you saw, even towards the later end of Overwatch League, we didn't see the New Horizon Luna Colony in it, but when we did see a lot of teams, trying to put, the D.Va into their comps, Surefour is. It's tough for Norway, right? Because you need to put emphasis on getting the Widowmaker out because you're playing so many squishies and you don't have a lot of healing. That you need to put pressure onto Surefour. But then the issue is if, Mangachu comes back now on Brigitte, but, when he was playing Junkrat, if you just let the Junkrat spam everybody down, you don't have enough healing to get through that either. So it's a really tough situation for Norway.
Don't act like you don't already know he's the all-star 1v1 Widow champion, fam. You know that.
He is.
Surefour, obviously, you can see, relocating himself in a pinch to avoid a lot of this tank pressure, right? Norway's still persistent with this, and I assume that they really want to try and make something happen with IPN here and that EMP, but only got to use the Pulse Bomb to apparently no avail earlier on, so he's lost that.
And I mean, you're going to have a Dragon Blade, but the other side's just going to have the Transcendence to lay down through it. So you're not really going to be able to do anything with that, unless you do have IPN hit one of these big EMPs and take out Zen.
Was getting turned into spaghetti there by the Hulk, but managed to get away from it.
But see, by the time Norway wants to switch off of this, what are they going to have the opportunity to do?
With 90 seconds.
Most likely they end up going triple tank, triple support, right? In which case, how many ultimates are you going to build up in just a minute, basically, as Canada can just kind of stay on what they're doing and stockpile.
Especially depending on what that extra tank is. What are they hoping for? They take Zarya. Zarya takes a while to charge up. Especially her ultimate. Now, Self-Destruct comes in, Surefour grapples out of trouble, but he actually puts himself in trouble. He needs to grapple towards Norway to actually avoid the blast. Still, seems to be fine. The rest of Canada sitting in this back corner here, and Mangachu looks over his shoulder. There's a Pulse Bomb there. Well, okay, never mind. Onigod doesn't quite connect with that one, and Crimzo cuts him down before he reaches his intended target. Canada is looking very comfortable right now, and oh my lord. I need the Nutcracker Sweep play here. Decod, can he get him? No, the healing's there, Decod.
So, and here's the problem. You were playing around and getting this EMP off and then using the Dragon Blade because then they wouldn't have the Transcendence. You used the EMP and then you didn't get the Zen. So now you have a Dragon Blade that you can't really use because they have Transcendence.
And you're running Zarya here, who is generally fairly terrible when there's a height differential involved. If you're trying to play from like the low
They're going to go straight to the point.
They have to run across. And let's see how much damage they sort of take before they get there. That's really the important one. No, they've lost Ico already. That's just terrible for them. They needed the sound barrier in this next fight, and now it's not available. Surefour found Decon as well, and it's a very ragged Norway squad that eventually crawled onto the point, but all they have time to do is roll over and give their last breath. Onigod's head goes rolling, and Norway, no one stands alive.
So they were not really able to make any progress on that first point. So
yes, Matt, that is correct.
Just reminding everybody. So the one time you did see Surefour actually, here's the EMP that was on the Crimzo. They don't actually track just gets that. I mean, Dragon Blade. Look, you tried to use the Pulse Bomb there. They don't connect, so.
You benefited from the rally from Mangachu there. You get EMP. Right? The reason why, obviously, for Zenyatta players, EMP is so scary is because it strips all of your shielding from you, that 150 shield. But he had a bunch of armor from the rally as well. So that EMP immediately is no longer nearly as lethal to him, and he can stand and fight. Zenyatta, when he's hacked, outside of the fact that obviously losing your shield is bad, you don't really mind too much. In a combat sense, you can still do everything you could before, minus putting a Discord orb on someone. And those orbs hit hard enough on their own as it is.
So here's what I want to see. Mangachu teleport XQC to the high ground, mid-charge, pin somebody.
Yeah, so we had that conversation yesterday, right? See, as we now know, you can use the teleporter whilst you are charging.
I'm a Symmetra expert, so I knew. I'm not a Symmetra expert. I played maybe 3 minutes of Symmetra.
You need to work on straight pace.
Yeah, no. I played a ton when it was on the PTR. When it first came out, I was super hyped. I was playing it a bunch, but my competitive games, trying to be a good teammate, insta-locking Widowmaker instead of playing Symmetra.
Yeah, just turn off your mic and you're good to go, right?
Yeah.
So outside, of course, Decod frolicking in the anti-grab zone, and that is a big pile driver. Now, realistically, I won't talk about the physics of that. Basically, he'd need thrusters to do that, and yeah, okay. He doesn't have thrusters.
Yeah, I'm definitely the person to talk physics with.
Yeah, that's okay. It's something to explore later, perhaps. Regardless, only got to be playing. No, it's not happening.
Really.
Only God's going to play close to the doorway. And again, just try and sit behind. Early scouting. The earlier he can see what Canada are running, the better. Because if he spots this Symmetra, they'll need to communicate that fairly quickly.
But here is a comp you can make Moira work when you're playing the. She's very good in the triple tank. Obviously, not running a third tank. You're running the Symmetra.
They're on the point already. Matt, this isn't how it's supposed to happen. Canada have set up now, but Norway are trying to fight back at them. XQC still looking healthy, but doesn't really know where to put himself. Charge doesn't connect on track. We already found 2 kills, very dexterous on the Genji. The hand of Canada is kind of revealed, but you're gonna have to go back to spawn here as it doesn't quite work out.
Hey, when you come through when they came through the teleporter, you're actually like backwards, so you come through the way you're facing, so they're not really facing where Norway is coming from. As you see the pile driver comes down right on top of it. They're able to take Mangachu out pretty quickly. So Mangachu will switch off of Symmetra. They'll go over to Brigitte right away. So
good Bionade from Ico there as well, to point out.
So you'll see triple support with a Sombra here for Canada.
Okay, back to the drawing board, as it were. And Decod is waiting. I mean, this is a great place to just pile driver on down, and look how mobile he is.
You're going to see Surefour try and get a hack onto Decod, though. Prevent that pile driver from coming down. A Brigitte stun, he's dead, and then you can move your way onto the point.
Hit that hack on the Hammond in midair, and he just floats down like a falling leaf and has about the same impact on landing. Only got EMP, so the time he spent the last minute or so, sort of just chipping away at the back line of Canada, has yielded results. Now he needs to convert on this ultimate.
They need to conserve some ultimates as well for the fight after.
It's going to be a long winter for them here. It is going to be EMP coming out now. Decod tries to drop on in, but Noti's in trouble. Desuited. Odegaard moves on to his next target. It's Mangachu getting hacked on the point. He's forced to just back away. Canada taking this very slow, very steady, but XQC got hit with a fat Bionade, and Decod drops the mines down.
They may have used too many ultimates, though, Mitch. You used the Wrecking Ball ultimate with the mines. You used EMP, Rally, and Nano Boost there.
That's a lot.
So now you think Track will probably get this Genji Blade in the next fight.
But what are you backing that up with?
Tricky with the self-destruct, really easy to dodge on the point here. So I think Canada's going to have their own EMP, a Transcendence, a self-destruct as well.
You had me at EMP and Transcendence.
Yeah.
Slow and steady for Canada once again. Methodical in their approach. In the back line was Odegaard. He went down to Surefour. A Sombra 1v1. He can add that one to his list of achievements, I suppose. Track's going to have to think about using this Dragon Blade pretty soon, but he's at half health. Self-destruct onto the point. So this is going to force a repositioning for Canada. He runs straight into the self-destruct. Track couldn't survive it. XQC bounds on forward, and IQ has turned into a pancake. And that'll be it, Matt. Just the one tick was all that Canada needed on the point, and eventually they come up with a winning solution. Map 3. Now for Canada, will take the series as a result.
And that's what I was worried about for Norway. They used way too many ultimates in the fight before. They come back in the next one, they have to use their self-destruct to just get a remech back on the point for Tricky, so he got no value out of that. And then Track ends up dying at the hands, I believe, of Note's self-destruct when an EMP comes in from Surefour. So the only 2 ultimates they have, they got no use of them there towards the end. Canada makes really good use of their ultimates, takes that 1 tick on the point.
The story of Surefour does what Surefour pleases continues. 1 death for him, 28% of his team's overall damage on that Sombra. Obviously the EMP efficiency still looking very good. Took him about 1:52 to charge that EMP in general, so really impressive stuff. Decod brought out the Wrecking Ball. We saw a couple moments from it there, but again, very, very tricky to survive against the Sombra.
And I think what we see for Norway towards the end is we're seeing from a lot of the teams outside of USA and Canada is like an overcommitment of ultimates in a lot of the fights. Like, some really late primal rages that there's only 2 or 3 people on the other team alive.
For no reason. Really.
Or just trying to use these ultimates to clear the players out fast, but you don't really even need to. Like, you could hold on to those, some ultimates. And then USA and Canada, you know, they just bank, you know, 4 or 5 ultimates, and you give them that type of advantage, they're going to take the point.
I think that's a great point, actually. We saw Canada on their attack. You know, they would set up on the high ground and just sort of wait and sort of play methodically. And speaking of high ground, there's a lot of it in Gibraltar, Matt.
So this is interesting for Norway to go over to Gibraltar, because this is not like a great triple tank, triple support map. Like, you think you want maps that don't have a ton of high ground and verticality, and a map like Gibraltar has a ton where, you know, they can make a really good use out of agilities as Pharah. You know, you can even play some Doomfist.
Do you feel
here.
like this enables the Norway Genji Tracer sort of
Genji Tracer, maybe you feel like you want to, you know, play Onigod on some more Widowmaker, but then you're against Surefour, who's a tremendous Widowmaker player. So really interesting selection here from Norway.
Now as we just scoot over the cliffs here, we'll see that Canada will start on the defensive side here. So their lock-ins will be obviously fairly pertinent for us to study. I mean, no surprise to see Surefour on that Widow. I mean, you know, Canada probably envisioning that they're going to get dived on to a degree, so Mangachu on Brigitte definitely seems to be just an academic decision.
I mean, even for as much as, you know, we've kind of joked about it, it's a really good map for Torbjorn, right? Arisa Torb up on, like, the high ground. You could do some stuff like that. So we'll see what Canada decides to do on defense. They got taking Norway really seriously. So, you know, speaking to a lot of teams, I know they heard a lot of good things about Norway coming into this event. Norway has played everybody pretty tough. I think they're really happy to see Brazil play well here so far this weekend. I think I keep saying it, watching them play, I'm like, oh man, if they have like more play time against like NA contenders teams and like, you know, a little bit of you know, stronger competition, I think they could definitely like really make some noise, you know, down the line.
Yeah, Overwatch is the game that kind of gets decided to a degree, you know, on your take on the game as opposed to your opposition's sort of the way you perceive the most effective ways to proceed, right? It seems like Canada and the USA respectively are pretty locked in with an understanding of, you know, Sombra's importance, obviously Doomfist's impact, Wrecking Ball when required. So Norway out of the gates here, double sniper composition by the looks of things here. IPN on that Zenyatta, so definitely going to be wary of Surefour, but that's a very early decent. Crimzo fell to Onigod. Oh, Canada have extended so far early, getting plucked out of their hidey holes and sent back home.
Yeah, Norway with a really nice, you run that double off tank at the beginning, get that Roadhog hook up the high ground, get a quick pick.
Is that standard though? I feel like I see that all the time.
You know, we haven't seen it in a while. Like at the Overwatch League level, like I can't remember the last time, maybe at the beginning of the league when we saw like Gibraltar around in the map pool, but towards the end we never really saw anything like that. So
look, it's one of those things you look out for, right? Only God finds Surefour here, so I mean this Norway train is just going to keep rolling. Resurrect Surefour, Barney obviously. Oh, again! This time it's Track sending him home. Dragon Strike cutting through the top ground. XQC's forced to duck inside for a moment and note. Looking worse for wear. Is it's just him and Mangachu that now have been completely separated from the rest of the game. This is a lost fight almost. Immediately I have to feel with Note and Mangachu now down. That's brutal.
I think Canada really caught off guard with, you know, Track's Hanzo play at the beginning and same with Onigod on the Widowmaker. So you don't have agilities in either. You have Mangachu in. Mangachu will switch over to Genji, I was going to say. You don't have agilities, it's great Genji. We've got to see Mangachu's Genji play. Mangachu's really, you know, projectile specialist.
Ooh, okay.
The bags are out.
Yep.
So
we call that the Dilmar dunk, Matt. Only God, yeah. Okay, does opt today use the infraside? I was wondering sort of if you would hold it. I would have been surprised if he'd held it until Surefour does it. It's a good way of actually snowballing momentum. Getting that information advantage now where Canada is sort of having to peek in sort of tentatively. Is that the Mangachu Genji? Is that the famous Mangachu Ninja Boy? All right, I'm here for it. Takes a big hit, only got to the high ground, jumped on immediately, taking down both tanks from Canada, went after the Widowmaker and got their prize.
As you do have to invest the Valkyrie in here for Canada, as you just need to get out onto the point. So there'll be a nice shot there from Track, taking out Mangachu. They're going to use a Transcendence here as well, as Norway trying to push this. They do lose one to the self-destruct, but they should still come out on top in this fight. XQC using Primal Rage, just trying to stall this enough for his teammates to come back. So he knows they did get 1 or 2 picks there. They do have a little bit of a spawn advantage as Track coming off that respawn now.
Canada as a team have 2 kills and 13 deaths to their name so far. It's been very one-sided in this map for Norway. But Gibraltar is that kind of map, right, Matt? You get a very strong start on that first point. If you can shove the defending team out of that shuttle zone and force them to sort of filter in by those small doorways, you can really start to exercise your early lead and, you know, I guess extend it.
That's right. Norway talked about how, you know, they were talking to him earlier in the weekend, how they felt really confident playing all these tanks. They look better without the tanks in the lineup, right? You know, they look better when you got, you know, only got in Track playing just strictly DPS. You know, you're just going back to the Widowmaker Hanzo.
Oh, that's nasty!
Real nice shot.
Only God fights ahead of Mangachu, and Crimzo is right behind. The double sniper composition really going the distance here for Norway. As is the payload, might I add. They're so close already. 4 minutes 55 on the clock. And the Fury of the North now gets unleashed. Thought Canadians were ready for the cold weather, but perhaps not this time around. Sure4. And Sombra have been quiet. He's struggled to really get a foothold in the back line. XQC takes a huge amount of damage before he even reaches the bridge. He doesn't even quite get there. Only got now the Dragon Blade to face him down. Mangachu looking for one more swipe, but he can't quite get there until the last one. Only got now down, but the Dragon Strike cuts through. It's a 1-for-1 trade with XQC down. 5v5. It's Mangachu now deciding where his next entry point is. Only God's back up, and Mangachu needs to be aware.
Yeah, I mean, using that Dragon Blade to just get that one kill, it gets completely negated by the resurrection there. Is Norway trying to push this one all the way to the end. They do lose Tricky. XQC now back off the spawn. Is like Mangachu's done a nice job just being the aggressor here, putting some pressure on Oniga.
Bunny pushes forward, gets himself a bit of a boop there. You know, Norway Canada wanted to chase some of those kills, right? They got that early pick off on the Diva of Tricky, but they couldn't push forward because both double snipers were sat behind the bubble of the Winston. And now look at that, the pick on Bunny. That could be the unraveling here for Canada. Yes, it's a close spawn map, but they're down a player, down a Lucio, more crucially.
We'll have Primal Rage here. They're going to use the Transcendence and follow it up. As they do get rid of Decod, you probably don't even need the Primal Rage here, as XQC did take a chunk of damage, so he will pop that ultimate. Jump right on top of Tricky.
Okay, this Transcendence now, difficult to see sort of what result it may well yield. Only God picks off Sure4. They're in the mess of the fight. So it's a 5v4 for Norway currently. Crimzo's still returning now from those lower levels. Pushing forward against the IPN. You can see how much he wants it there. Really trying to get forward here, Norway. Sound barrier coming out from Canada now. They need to try and hold on in this fight. Dragon Strike cuts through, but IPN goes down early. Both supports missing. Mangachu finds the mercy. And now Only God needs to give up his perch, his ivory tower to Mangachu, and let the Genji take residence.
So now the double sniper comp is not working. You just had to use the Dragon Strike to make any type of progress. You can't throw it into the spawn. So that track will fall yet again here. So now, you know, it doesn't seem like it's been a crazy hold here from Canada, but remember, we at above 5 minutes, as Sure4 does get slept here. He will get eliminated. Still a while for Norway to get to the payload, so he will be able to get back, you know, right back into this next fight.
I have to check with Troutman, Matt, but it looks like Sure4 has more deaths on this map than the entire series up until this point.
It has to be close.
Thank you. We'll get the answer on that one in just a moment. Mangachu Dragon Blade drops down. He gets the nano boost as well. IPN just gets disintegrated, but a headshot vertically from track to find Mangachu. Shuts the Genji down, but the damage is already done. Tricky trying to push forward now. Only God did find Sure4 and Decod again. This is what you're talking about, Matt. A late Primal Rage that yields little to no result.
I mean, you will get Tricky back in his mech, but Decod just goes in there, uses the Primal Rage, and by the time they get the mech back, everybody falls. So you didn't really get any use of that Primal Rage there, which Primal Rage is an ultimate right now that's, you know, so strong. Winston able to jump on top of a lot of targets, do a ton of burst damage. So XQC is going to have his big ultimate advantage now back over to Canada.
Only God now. Grappling hook up on high. Ico down early. Norway really starting to lose that momentum they built up earlier on in this round. Only God just trying to back away. XQC, I see you, fam! I see you! And is it a quiet moment? Yeah, just, you know, yeah.
Just returning the favor. They were doing it to him before, you gotta send it back.
So there you go. Sure4 on this map's died 6 times. The rest of the series, he died 6 times.
Yep. Yeah, no, well, I mean, you have seen him play less Sombra on this map than all the others, right? He was playing Widowmaker for a lot of this map. Now at the end, switches over to Sombra. So big changes here for Norway. You have both supports switching it up. Oni God in track will both switch things up. No double snipers. You're on Sombra. Genji here. Genji to get to that high ground.
Canada done a great job of choking out the impetus from Norway here, slowing them down.
Norway has also used a ton of ultimates to just kind of push it towards the end when they haven't really had an opportunity to win the fight.
Maybe they lost their nerve at the last moment. XQC now, obviously. Oh, IPN, you don't have time to go for the teabag, my friend. Gets the Bionade dropped on him and no punishing him. That's hubris for you. 1-for-1 trade though. 2 supports missing from the map, and XQC has to take a step back for the time being. Crimzo trying to keep him nice and topped up, being charged in from Mangachu though, and that's a D-suit on Tricky. No can press forward now and has a self-destruct as sort of a get-out-of-jail-free card, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be necessary. Norway are down to their last fight. They'll get staggered here for a moment, and this is it. They've got a Primal Rage to work with, a Nano Boost, maybe an EMP or Sound Barrier to work with.
And a really nice swap from Mangachu. Was playing Hanzo. You see his flexibility really pay off on this map. Now playing the Brigitte. He's got Rally to use, Nano Boost, and Sound Barrier. EMP as well for Canada. And because of these late switches for Norway, they don't really have much.
Decod now first in, very deep. In fact, look at where the rest of his team was standing, but Shawful gets caught up in between them. He's down to Tricky. XQC now trying to reciprocate, get himself into the back line. And again, the Primal Rage be forthcoming now. If he can use it before he goes down, he does. He got bionated, but he's still okay. Ico falls inside the small room, and Track trying to make ends meet with this Dragon Blade, or separate them as it were. That's just Mangachu down. Track having to back away, gets bionated positively by his teammate, but no. Norway start falling like dominoes now. Barney with the cleaning crew over the payload, and that will do it. Norway will have to be satisfied with 2 points.
They can't really be too satisfied though, Mitch. I mean, they had over 5 minutes to go from point B to point C. They're not able to do it. Some really nice changes that come out from Team Canada. Now you brought in the Ana, you were running like a lot of Mercies in early in the map. Then you had Mangachu switch from so many different things. We saw his Genji, we saw Hanzo, we saw Brigitte during that map. A lot of changes as we take a clip here. XQC's Primal Rage.
Look at the
end.
setup with that biotic grenade as well. Just beautiful. Crimzo before it went down as a parting gift. And yeah, you just a little bit of back and forth. Obviously, you know, throughout this game, obviously players trying to exert some dominance over one another, but the scoreboard says it all. Oh yeah, it was all good fun, of course.
So we'll see what Norway decides to do on defense. I thought Onigod was really effective playing Widowmaker. Track at the beginning, hitting really nice shots as Hanzo. But once they stopped rolling with the double sniper, they stayed on it for like 2 or 3 more fights, and they burned through a
What
bunch
would you
of
have rather
ultimates.
seen
And then
at that part of the map?
I think you could have went to the Sombra Genji a little bit earlier and not waste a lot of your ultimates. Like right there, Canada's on the back foot, right? Now that you have a ton of time to work with, they have to use their ultimates to win every single fight. And you never got one fight where your team had an advantage in terms of ultimates. You were always playing behind.
To just exert a bit of pressure. If you're in that position as Norway, you want to force out some of those ultimates, because the fact of the matter is the margin of error doesn't exist for Canada at that point.
You get a hack and then a Genji dash through on one player, and then they're forced to use, you know, maybe 2 ultimates to keep that going for Canada. You back out, you know, you're playing a Lucio there. You come back, you have like an EMP plus a blade, right? And then you're right at the end. Like, it's just not really using their ultimates to their advantage there. We will see the Torb Orisa on defense here for Norway.
What's the purpose of that wall? Was that too short? I think that wall was shorter than he intended it to be.
I think
be covering the open.
I think he tried to put it up on the high ground, yeah.
Maybe he didn't quite make the distance on the jump he was hoping for. Regardless, no more, mate. And again, yeah, this Junkrat track, obviously, at extreme range, you probably didn't expect to do too much except poke annoyingly, but once Canada pass through this choke, or maybe while they're in it, they will be very susceptible to the burst damage or the area of effect damage from those grenades.
So we've seen some teams take, well, really, we've seen USA use the Torbjorn. Teams not be able to play around it. Let's see how a team like Canada, you know, plays around this Torbjorn, right? It's both supports dead right away. That'll be Onigod on the Widowmaker. Track on the Junkrat, able to pick up the kills.
2 incidental kills sort of happening simultaneously there. And if you look at Canada's team composition, you'll note that against a composition that features a Widow and a Junkrat, Canada doesn't have any static shields, right? So they don't have any shield. They don't have a Reinhardt or an Orisa. They can't just walk up and protect their team. So once they come around that corner, they just sort of have to not get hit forehead by those shots. Easier said than done, for sure. They still want to keep those tanks. They don't want to bring shield tanks in because they favor the mobility and the ability to try and dive in. Get Shawful up on that high ground, but his options are more limited as Sombra for trying to get into the back line.
So they do get the Torb turret. Nope, jumps up there, takes it out. Shurford does fall here, playing Sombra. The hands of track. You have a Junkrat tire. I think for me, how does Norway use some of these ultimates they're going to get online, right? Infrasight, really strong against Sombra. You're going to have a Rip Tire, which kind of guarantees a fight. Now you will eventually get a Nano Boost and a Molten Core if you stay on this. How do you use those? That'll be a Valkyrie comes out from Bonnie. Let's see what they get with this tire. They're going to be able to get Bonnie as well. Nice.
The range on that is just something to behold. There's a lot going on in the server room here, I think, in the build-up to these fights. Matt, that's obviously where we saw Shawful get taken down earlier on. Canada need to get across to the server room as a unit, stay alive, and then sort of pressure that high ground down. But there's extra threat associated with doing so because Ico is very close now to that molten core. So trying to rash the Tourbillon turret head on is super hard to do. We saw yesterday teams try and pulse bomb the turret to try and remove it before molten core was used.
This next fight is huge. You did use 2 ultimates there. Canada's one. You used your Infrasight and your Tire.
That's unfortunate.
Let's see, it's going to be Tourbillon turret falling, and you're going to have Tricky getting D-Max. So let's see if they use the nano boost here. You're going to see the Dragon that comes through from Mangachu.
IPN drops in. No Bionade available to him when he was hacked, by the way. That's super crucial ability for Anna to have available to her, and Ico now is hacked. Really not much he could do there, unfortunately, for the Norwegian squad. Now it's just going to be Track trying to get rid of Mangachu, but Hanzo Arrow finds its mark finally. And now Tricky will get kicked out of that mech. The turret, of course, of Tourbillon doesn't function anymore because they're out of its line of sight. All right, Canadians, get that first point. They're on the road. Now, how do they try and stagger this out? It's very average spawns from Norway.
Yeah, 3 players get the front spawn for Norway. DK just trying to prevent the payload from moving on forward. So everybody falls. Now have to back up. You still have the nano boost here. You're going to get another Rip Tire. How long do you stay on the Junkrat here?
I don't even... I mean, until you use the Rip Tire. If Junkrat can't get in, I think you use it and get out of
switch,
it.
Yeah.
If you can't get inside the shuttle phase, Maz, at Junkrat, if you can't set up, then you don't do a heck of a lot. Getting rid of Mangachu here is pretty important.
He'll get rest.
And now, you can see now, right? Like, Norway still take that opportunity to try and press forward a little bit, utilize that high ground. Junkrat still has an impact if he's standing on the bridge lobbing grenades down. The Dragon Strike, though, didn't really do a heck of a lot from Mangachu, maybe hoping there were people caught in the shuttle, but here comes the dive from Canada.
It actually gets eaten by Tricky as he's coming across the bridge.
Brutal.
Just a really big cone there that D.Va defense matrix is. XQC will pop primal range. Gets into the backline, DK doing the same. He's trying to get this pick onto Crimzo. Crimzo being pocketed by Bonnie, and he's gonna have to back out. He's lost too many teammates here, so.
Whoa, again?
Nope, through the wall.
That's a lot of Dragon Strikes. Mangachu gets himself in another one of those ultimates. This time he can actually use it. Doesn't claim anyone, but you can see that on that side rooms, 3 players from Norway are congregated. They sent only got 4th to try and get in the back line, and Scout. Track's hacked up, so he's not going to do much for the time being. He can only just really get away and try and escape, and that payload, it's gotten there. And Norway now had to trickle in once more, and again, trying to avoid just having bad spawns or being staggered.
Now they've switched off of a few different heroes. Only God now will play Tracer, so you're going to go with kind of your standard dive with your tanks and your DPS. You're going to have Ico play Lucio here, and you're going to get an Ana in the mix. So.
Now, Matt, this comp seems good if Norway can actually, control the high ground.
The Mangachu playing Tor, so.
Okay.
It'll be hard for them to dive in.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is. It's like a huge deterrent. It's like, if you want to dive us, you need to take this extra damage from our essential 7th man in the turret. Transcendent, should I say, was used there for Canada. Makes it very safe for them to come in. Probably EMP2, if I'm honest with you. And now, the pirate ship being constructed.
They don't have a static shield to put here, but probably won't matter as.
I think they just dive down and just cut off sight lines for Norway, right? Just to make it really hard for them.
I think XQC is going to use this jump to either push players back into the spawn. Yep. Oh, he's going to lock the Lucio. A really smart play there, trying to put the pressure on the Lucio.
Did you hear that as well? Sleep dart from IPN didn't manage to find XQC, so now he really has a lot of freedom here to work. Not getting any big knockoffs at the moment, but Crimzo from downrange finds Ico. Self-destruct Crimzo. Can he get away from that? He does. Block line of sight, gets around behind the pillar. Tricky falls to Mangachu's turret, and the Tourbillon really starting to flex. And Canada will come away with the 4-0. The clean sheet, Matthew, continues to be written.
Yeah, towards the end, Mangachu's Tourbillon, we kind of joked a little bit about it, but when they go to use a self-destructive, Tricky launches up in the sky, and the Torb turret takes him out before he can get right back in his mech. So that's one big kill you would have liked to have, right?
Excuse me, trying to watch his play of the game, bro. What are you doing? Can't interrupt that stuff.
Hey, dude, he has a monster game.
That's sacred.
He leads Canada in final blows with 18, 43 lives, only 4 deaths.
That's the point that I'm most interested in as well. XQC survivalist with a whopping 20% of his team's damage there. Huge impact for him, and you could argue that maybe it's because of the compositions we saw Norway play, and then XQC gets to have a little bit of more fun, more rumble in the jungle. But on the side of Norway, a lot of takeaways here, Matt. We saw them, really start very well. It's quite clear to see that when you can put Norway in the driving seat, very strong. You put them in the corner, though, and they go very quiet.
And I think this series could have been a little bit closer if Norway would have banked up some of those ultimates, used them more effectively. I think what they try to do is, really kind of close some of these fights out when they were already done. And I think just playing on the stage, some pressure going up against Canada, probably had something to play in that. But we got Malik down on the floor with Mangachu. Let's catch up with them, see what he has to say about this match.
Thank you, Mr. X. Got Mangachu here from Team Canada. They just pulled off another 4-0 victory. Mangachu, you had a bit of a tough go last night in your contenders match. How's it feel to come out here today and get the victory with Team Canada?
It feels pretty good. I haven't been as, the journey hasn't been as long with this team. XL2, we're all super close friends still after everything, and it's just really good to get another win.
Was practicing for contenders a little bit difficult for you, given that you had this on the back burner as well?
Yeah, I had to focus a lot on both teams. We played a lot of different compositions, mainly on XL2 we played goats, and then coming over here we played a lot of dives. So it was a little stressful, but it's working out with Team Canada at least.
So there were, a couple of weaknesses that I saw, from my eyes from Team Norway. But for you, what did you think made it, so easy for you guys to kind of claim victory today?
Cheese, lots of cheese.
Like the Torbjorn, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, last thing I want to ask you, man. So let's take it back to last year at the World Cup. A lot of people got mad at me because I criticized your diva play. I think I called it booty butt cheeks, if I'm not mistaken. You forgive me for that, man? I'm really sorry about it.
We got to the grand finals with me on diva, so I've put it in the past for sure.
All right, cool. We've deaded it. It's over. Reddit, stop talking about it, okay? All right. Well, with that, man, thank you very much, Mangachu. Much appreciated. Everybody, give it up for him one more time. And Team Canada clinching the 4-0 victory, moving into first place. And without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and break down that match right now with the casters.
Bro, he don't forgive you. He's still got a Malik voodoo doll home. He's just dipping in hot oil every now and then, bro. It ain't that easy, fam. Come on.
Oh, man. But hey, Mangachu did make a point. They did get second last year with him on the diva, so couldn't have been that bad. But this game, Canada looking strong yet again. It's just, they just keep rolling. USA's rolling, although they did have a tough go with Brazil. Same with Canada. But both of these teams on a crash course that match tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that's a highlight match for this entire weekend, something that everyone's looking forward to. We've seen some excellent matches sort of throughout the way. Some crazy stuff in general, but I'm quite sure, as always, it's not nearly as crazy as the back and forth that we've sort of seen going over on the Twitter sphere, guys. That's why it's time for the T-Mobile Fan Pulse, brought to you by the fastest network ever. Let's have a look at what people are saying out there, Matt. And I think we all can agree with this tweet. Dude, I would love to have agilities as far as skills. I would just be climbing up the ladder, just playing Insalok and Farah, finding a Mercy to play with me, just grinding out those games.
Some of my favorite moments actually from agilities have been like throughout the Overwatch League, and I remember watching him on a Hollywood, I think, and playing a Farah attack against Widowmaker, not really caring, still being able to sort of deal with that. So that's been really fun to see as well. Obviously, we didn't see as much of him in this game. We saw Mangachu sort of pick up. That's why we saw the Mangachu Genji in general, which is super interesting. Of course, I mean, how do you choose between, Canada and the USA with just stars like this on both rosters?
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of the LA Overwatch League teams represented here in the Burbank stage, right? You got both DPSs from the LA Gladiators, and then you got agilities in Space the Valiant.
So I love it. And again, I tweeted this out as well. A lot of really young talent, very hungry across both of these teams, which is really great to see. And leaders as well, born leaders from some of these guys. And again, we're seeing a lot of different sort of metas and setups, man. I think that's safe to say. But do you feel like that's because some teams maybe are a little bit behind on their sort of take or understanding of how best to play right now?
I don't know if it's that teams are behind. I think a lot of the stuff that we learned in Overwatch League is you need DPS players who are very versatile, and I think Team USA has that, Team Canada has that, and I think you need to see that develop in other regions where they have to learn how to play some of these heroes that are a little bit harder to play, like your Doomfist.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Overwatch World Cup and the whole world is watching, so help take your team to trending with the hashtag OWWC on Twitter, brought to you, of course, by the fastest network ever. Big shout outs, of course, to you guys for continuing to interact with us. Thanks for that one. And yes, so much to talk about. We've still got some more games to go today, Matt. I really do think that, we'll see Norway continue to show a little bit more of what they got.
Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, I think Norway's very close, competitive in some of these games. It's just broadening their hero pool. Being able to play some Doomfist at times, I think would be really nice for them. Against some of these tank-heavy compositions, and then to move away from the tank-heavy comps. I thought you saw there on Gibraltar, they looked really good with their double sniper towards the beginning of the match. Not as much towards the end.
Oh yeah, we talked about Doomfist a fair bit, Matt. You were discussing it's something you kind of wanted to examine.
Yeah.
Is like the usage of Doomfist between a lot of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see the percentage of Doomfist play from both Canada and USA, and then all of the other teams combined. So you see the Doomfist usage from Canada and USA above 30%. Every other team is just at 1% usage. Doomfist is such a strong hero right now in combination with your Sombra play that I feel like you need to see more Doomfist from a lot of these teams. His one-shot kill potential is huge, and you see right there a lot of teams lacking it.
That's right, and we'll see a little bit more, I guess, of that Doomfist sort emerge later on. After the break, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America take on Switzerland here. Plenty more games to come, of course, at the LA group stage for the Overwatch World Cup 2018. We'll see you after the break.